Hello again everyone, anyone that's rejoining from earlier. So I've had a wee break and I've set the laser cutter off with some of the missing window pieces, which I'm now just finishing off with the scalpel. Change the settings on it as well so it's cut a little bit more through. It's just a speed setting that you have to have a little bit of a play with to get it to cut through at the right kind of intensity. So although it had cut through on the previous setting, this one was a lot more fuller. Hello Pip. Just doing a little bit of window stone detailing. I started earlier but stopped for a break. I needed to cut some more window stone pieces, but it was going to take me a little bit of time to do it sort of off camera, to set it up, not least do the cutting. So I decided I was going to take a break, and whilst I was doing that I've left the plotter cutting the missing pieces. I think I've actually cut a little bit more than I need. It's good to have spares in case any break. I've kind of gone backwards a little bit from where I was. Every time I look at this building and then check back on my drawings, there's just something that doesn't sit right with me, and I have to go back and revisit. But hopefully I'm on track now. It's only this one elevation that's really bothering me. The reason why this had cut nearly all the way through last time as well was because I'd got the engraved setting as the same setting as the cut, which is why it had perforated everything. Have we all had a good weekend? It's been very warm and sunny where I am, so it's been a day of gardening and lazing in the garden, both days. I took my daughter back to university on Friday night, so I didn't get a lot of work done that night because I didn't get back home until nearly 2 AM. Okay, so that's most of the extra detail that I need. So we'll bring our wall back into play, and I can start building up the missing pieces again. I did have a little tub that I was squeezing glue into. Oh, it's right in front of me. How observant. So I'll see if I can get a little bit more glue out. This is really scraping the barrel of the bottle, so to speak. Doesn't make sense, that does it? Really scraping the bottom of the bottle. There's hardly any left. It's decent glue. I'll just leave that on its side. No, I think the cocktail sticks had it, so I need another one of those. So what I'm going to do is just glue the back of this laser board with the cocktail stick. Do it quite speedily because the air is quite humid and it does tend to dry glue quickly. Right, there we go. So that's those 3 almost done. There's a bit more decorative work to add to that yet. What if I glued to the back of there? Who knows? Right, so just check I've got enough pieces. I've already done that one. Brings it almost to the level of the front, and then we need a piece that brings it to the level of the front. And then a final layer. Just sits in front. I've used the word front quite a lot today, sorry. Yeah, so there we've enough pieces there. That one seems to be wrong. Okay, let's do a bit of gluing. Let's get these glued on. Sorry, just trying to think then. What am I doing? What am I doing? Need that one on next. Okay, so we're slowly building up the depth of these window surrounds. Some more glue. Try and scrape up some excess glue there. Like I said before, the beauty of the wood glue as opposed to super glue is that if you've just put it on in slightly the wrong place, there is a little bit of slide room. Sorry about the big sigh there. It's been a very lethargic weekend. I was hoping to build the tower tonight. Time's cracking on. I suppose it's only 10 past 10 at the moment. We'll see how time progresses. Right, so there's just 2 more frames to put on the upstairs, the gable windows. Oops, dropped it. I think I might have put that in upside down. It's the other way up. Like that. Then there was a correct way around for this because there's a slight etching engraving on the front side. Right, I think those are all spares. So I've just got the windowsill detailing to make now. Which is here. Some of these are bigger than others, so I need to work out which one's which. That is a task that's easier said than done. All right. Now this is going to form a little bit of a windowsill detail, including them back to back, one slightly smaller than the other. I don't know if you can just see from there, there's a slight step in it. It is a really small detail. Now before that quickly dries, I just need to glue a small piece underneath it. Hope that glue will just stay put. I always forget about that. I'm just trying to make sure that they line up there. Oops. Can you just see there? That's a little detail I'm putting on the windowsill there. And then I have the same to do on a window just below with a slightly bigger detail piece. Hello Joe, good to see you. It's been a really hot day today, and as a result I'm feeling quite lethargic. think I have caught the sun quite a bit. My face is glowing. It's been a nice day to be in the garden today. It's all moved. Some more little bits here. These aren't cut out so well though. glued that to the wrong piece. Is that the right one? No, it wasn't. It wasn't the right one. Sometimes you've got to abandon tweezers and just go in with the fingers. This is one of those times. That's not one of them. That's from the upper layer. It's a very quiet live tonight, both from you and from me. I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. Also feeling a little bit sunstrokey. Jinx indeed, yes. I was on earlier while you were there as well, weren't you? I think most people thought I wasn't coming back, so they've gone off to do Sunday night things. Possibly. Multitasking and faffing, yes, we all do a bit of that, don't we? Okay, quite happy with that. One thing I'm not happy with is this one here. It's just a little wonky in terms of the window frame above it. So I'm just going to prise it off along with this. And I'm going to reposition it. I just want to butt it up to that surround. There was a bit of a gap. So like I said before, thankfully there's a little bit of play with the type of glue. And that's better. There's just a gap, a very wonky gap between the surround and the sill. So rip it off and start again. Right, so I just need sills for that one and an underneath for that. And I think that is too short. Or is it? That sill's definitely too short, I think. Or I might be wrong. Yeah, it's too short, that one. And I think the undersill is too short as well. So I've two pieces to do for there that I've managed to miss. One of those is a longer one, I think, though. That's why it pays to do spares sometimes. Is that a longer one? Yeah. This will do for one of them anyway. have a laser beam. Yes, it's certainly been a blessing. I could, to an extent, do the same thing with a Cricut, but it would take a heck of a lot of time to cut, and it would be very faffy in terms of gluing as well. You end up with much more delicate pieces, and you know, with the thickness of laser board that you get a much more rigid piece. I do wonder if I could have cut that decorative ironwork now for the Kashmiri house that I built. I might do if I get a moment. I'll have to dig out the file again. The thing is, like I say, it won't take a few minutes to actually do, so that'd be good, wouldn't it? Like, if I cut out a really ornate bit of fretwork and post it off and say, here we go. Feel free to add it if you'd like. Some bits I might just have to wait until the glue is set to scrape it clear. I'm just using this scrap piece here to line it up with the window opening. Try and make sure it's flat. There we go. It's not easy to see at this angle, is it? But that's the ornate looking stonework and sills. I've just got that little detail to add at the bottom there. I'm just missing one bit. Although by the magic of prior cutting, it appears... No, I'm ahead of myself. That's completely the wrong piece. It's for somewhere else, is that? Right, this is where I'm going to see whether my laser is cut how I want it to. I've got some really ornate pieces here that I want to try and add. And that's whether the laser has cut through it fully enough, or it's just going to absolutely shatter apart. It does look like it's worked, but I have a feeling it's just going to obliterate. I thought I'd try it. If it doesn't work, it's going to be too thick to work, and I'll just have to sort of what's that word when you make do with something? I can't think of the word. I'll have to do whatever that word is. If somebody would like to suggest what word it is that I'm trying to think of, that would help my vocabulary. That's the word, compromise. I'll have to compromise. Thank you very much, Chris. I'll have to compromise with a slightly less detailed version. But aside from photo etching, I don't know how else I would accomplish this, or very, very micro sculpting with Fimo or polymer clay. And I set the laser on a slower speed to try and cut through it better, but I added on little support tabs as well so it didn't go flying into the machine. That has meant that I've got a very tricky cut to make. And if that piece comes away, then it's not going to work. No, it's taken too much off. There's one other thing I could try doing, and that's cutting it out with a bigger outline. That might work. So what I mean to say is if I take that drawing that I've done here and just expand the outline outwards by 0.1mm, it might just cut what I want it to cut. It's kind of something I'd like to persevere with. So I'm just going to, let's just open the laptop up. So you can see here, this is what I've wanted to cut. I don't think I can do what I want to do in the laser program. I'll have to go into Illustrator. You can hardly see it here because I've set it to 0.01mm.
I didn't catch that.
Oh, shush.
Can you try again?
No, we can't try again because I didn't mean to switch you on, Siri. I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
I think Siri took that rather well, don't you? Alright, so let's see, that's what we've got here. Is the outline of that particular piece. So what I'm going to do now is just try and make it bigger. So I take all elements there, go to Object, Path and Offset Path. I want to make that 0.1 bigger on the outsides. It might not mean an awful lot, but it might just mean that the laser finds the line. So if I now go back up the drawing, and I'm going to take off that inner line. Call it decorative header. Just make sure it's the right colour still. Bring it into light burn. Now the question is, do I persevere with 0.6mm, which is possibly a bit too thick? I've answered my own question. I'm going to try it on 0.3. Because I think 0.6 is going to end up much too thick. Especially if I'm building it up in layers. So I just make a few copies of that. Have I duplicated this? I don't know. just change that speed now because it's going on thinner material. It wants to be about 3000, I think. I want tabs and I want to skip inner shapes. Right, I'll have to move that off screen now because I can't get close to the laser. Right, just give me a second. I'm still here. What's wrong? It's constantly crashing, is this light bit. Oops, not 30,000, it's a good job I checked that. Did anybody actually spot that when I was typing it in? 3,000, not 30,000. Right, it's racing away, let's see if it actually does anything. See, I was miles away when you saw that bit. It was supposed to be 3,000. I typed in too many zeros, so we're just waiting for that to cut. It says it will be about a minute. It's still merrily cutting away. I think it's going to cut it. It doesn't seem to be turning it to toast, which is a good thing. Right, so in true nature of tonight's activities, we'll just switch to something else while that's cutting. Don't want to be cutting for too much because it gives me a headache. So this is the tower. This is the tower. And I've cut this on the Cricut. And I'm using my trusty Amazon bought Foam X, which is a lot softer than normal. Just cut out a lot easier. So I just got the cutter settings using I'm thinking it was a much stronger material, and I only got it to cut through one pass. Your laser's fuming. Right, that's cut. I'll flick back to that afterwards because I'm an impatient guy. Let's see how it's done. I'm going to turn it off because whether it works or not, I'm not cutting anymore tonight. It is rather noisy as well. Since it vents outside, it is quite noisy, like I say. So, I don't know if you can see this. If I hold it up to... Let's get a light behind it. Blinded by the light. If I hold it up, you can see where it's cut through. So it may or may not work, but with laser cutting, what it has done is actually completely obliterated that small line from the top there. But with laser cutting, you can sometimes make it work better by increasing the surrounding line, because you've got to, sometimes you have to allow for the tolerance of the actual laser beam, because the laser has a certain thickness. It's only the same as cutting with a saw or a knife. You obviously lose the thickness of the blade as you're cutting. That seems to have cut. Now the question is, does it actually line up? I don't know where to put it. It's a good job Dave's model wasn't as decorative as this, otherwise I wouldn't have enough room. I wouldn't have had enough room to do everything. My desk has gone back to being an absolute tip again now. There's no huge model on it. So that does actually fit. The idea is that that layer sits on top, and then it gets slightly more decorative as we go. So that one works. We'll try one first, and if one works, then we can carry on with the rest. Oh, look at that. Isn't that just perfection? It's so delicate, but it's worked. I think it's been better that I've used a thinner material, because I think if you go up to 4 layers with 0.6, I'll end up with something 2.4 thick. Is that maths correct? Which is going to be a bit too big. So if each layer is 0.3, then eventually it'll be 1.2 millimeters thick with all layers together. So if I just gently pull away, it is held in place just ever so slightly, but each bit is coming off. This one is the most delicate bit, and it's the one I didn't actually check on the settings because I've put a very slight etch on this one. I forgot to check whether the etch was severe or not. Thank you, Chris. Sometimes math, well, not sometimes, a lot of the times maths is my weak point, and I'm not very good at quick maths. So this is the most delicate piece of them all. I'll just scrape some excess glue off these tweezers so it's easier to pick up. Now, I'm trying to move the light without there we go. So it's worked. Now let's see if I can actually glue all the layers on. The only bit that hasn't worked is the narrow bar that went right across the very top. So if I do these in order, that one first. It's one of those things where you could probably get away with just doing an impression of a decorative lintel, but I wanted to try and push the boundaries and see if I could recreate the ornate stonework that's on the actual model. It's not completely 100% accurate, but it gives the impression of it. I've kind of contradicted myself there, haven't I? What I mean to say is I haven't done an exact trace of it, but I've drawn a very rough version of it that will look like the real thing. Now this on the actual house itself, there's because it's so old, a lot of this ornate stonework has kind of weathered away. It's no longer visible, or no longer visible in full detail. You know, if you can imagine a very worn sandstone moulding. Sometimes you see like corbels on castles and churches where, you know, it's just a blob because the original carving has worn away. So there's quite a lot of that going on with this building, but they hope to eventually renovate it and take it back to its back to a lot of its original state. So I would imagine a lot of these stone mouldings will be eventually replaced. So I'm making them all as if they were, you know, crisp mouldings, as if they were first put on, rather than the blobby remains as they are today. These walls will have a rendering put on them as well, on the flat bits. So I'm going to have to mask off all my mouldings before I put the rendering on. Actually use a bigger bit of board to help press it in place. Do you want me to zoom in a little bit so you can see that detail a bit better? Try not to obliterate it with glue. Cheers, Chris. It is late, isn't it? I'll try and put a picture up on the Discord. Well, I will put a picture up on the Discord of the finished moulding. Right, one more piece. This is the most delicate bit. And of course, because I'm zoomed in, you can't see what I'm doing because I'm off screen. My cocktail stick is rather clogged full of glue now. Now this bit I can't use the little block to align because it doesn't align with the top. It's supposed to have a nice little thin strip across the top which is burnt off. I'll have to cut those by hand, I think, to finish it off. Unless there's any left in my 0.6mm collection of cuts. Just need 2 tweezers for this. Can't quite get to the last bit that I'm holding. Sorry if I'm jumping off screen, it's just I'm trying to focus on what I'm gluing rather than where it is on screen. The glue dries quickly, so by the time you've got to the end, the original bit that you've glued has dried. Right, let's try and get this in place. Now this should sit just slightly central. Just flung my tweezers across the room. Right, I need to try and lean over a little bit now to try and make sure that I'm putting it in the right place. This is slightly offset, just to give an element of relief. And I'm really quite pleased at how that's turned out. Oops. I was trying to zoom real life then as opposed to the camera. That was weird, wasn't it? And now I've got my comments on screen. Right, there we go. So I will just go across the other 2 windows now. As you can see, I've cut an extra one off. I cut a spare. It's always good to make spares. Because you might just ping something off like you've done there. I was being a bit too lackadaisical there. That's better. Try to be careful. It might serve me good to change my blade. There, that's come away quite nicely this time. Glue them in batches. Alright, where'd my tweezers go? There they are. Two more bits, then there's just 2 more layers to add. And they're getting more delicate as we move up. But also slightly easier to take off the back. Can't believe how tiny that bit is. should learn to pick up the piece in the middle rather than at one end. I just keep forgetting. Two more pieces to finish it off. Well, almost finish it off. I've just got a little straight strip to add right at the very top. Which I'll either have to cut by hand or see if I've got it on my 0.6mm piece that I tried to cut earlier. I know it's completely obliterated the 0.3 strip. Hello Kelly, how are you doing? Have you had a good weekend? Right, I like that. There we go. What do we think? I'm just looking on my other pieces now to see if I've got that anywhere else. I've got two, no, I've got three. I've got three. I may be able to do that. See, originally I planned on building this up with, like I say, with 0.6, but I think that would have been far too thick. So we've had a much better result with the 0.3mm. Now these pieces are just the windowsills for the bottom floor that I've forgotten to cut out earlier. And we've just got one more of these here. I'll add those later. I don't know why I'm whispering. Oopsie daisy, dropped it. The glue's set. Let's try it again. Not put enough on, and it's just not tacky enough. Final one. Right, I'll just glue these little sills onto the bottom window, and it's time to call it a night, I think. Happy with tonight's work. Those I'll keep as spare, don't need them. Well, I've just found something. Is that the right width? I think that's the right one for the top. Might just be able to finish that off if that's the case. I'd forgotten I'd put that up there for safekeeping. Ah, it is, it's perfect, it's the right one. Just need a bit more glue to get that in place, and then we can call that whole roof section complete. Not roof section, it's not, no, elevation, the ornate stonework. And then all I've got to do is design and make the windows that go behind them, the window frames. So I've got all this ornate stonework done, but there's a whole load of wooden windows and shutters that go inside. That was refusing to stick. Okay, there we go. I can't really show you the... Hey Joe, long time no see, how you doing? It's quite difficult to show you the whole elevation. I'll come back a little bit and see the scruffiness of my desk. But that's how it looks now. Once it's got a uniform stone texture, you'll yeah, I'm doing all right, thank you. Yes, complicated modelling still going on. This one's a bit bigger scale than I normally work in. This is 1/50th scale as opposed to 1/76, but it's still small. Just got a lot of nice detail to it. But I'm just about to call it a night now, Joe. So it was a bit bad timing there, but hopefully I'll catch you again soon and we can talk later. But it's 11:30 here. It feels much later, but it's 11:30 here. I'm absolutely shattered, and I'm going to call it a night. So thank you very much for watching tonight, guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this bit of stonework. And yeah, I will see you all again soon.